Okay, now we're doing it. Okay, so yesterday you did the 8 heads high, and by the end of class we were hoping to be able to do that proportion without putting the 8 heads on there, but just by measuring one thing compared to another thing. Okay, so today we're going to learn how to do action poses. Your action poses, we're going to start with profile. Okay, so when you draw a person in profile, because a lot of times in your pictures, your people are going to be moving and you're going to be seeing them from the side. So a frontal view is like what we have been doing. When you have profile, it's a little bit different. So you have your head, and then you have your neck, and then you have your shoulder. Because when you're looking at a person from the side, you are seeing the side of their body. Now, when we do the torso, this is how you add that. And then the shoulder that's farthest away from you is going to be back here. Okay, does that make sense? Your hips are the same. When you go to do your leg, again, it's the same as the torso, but your hip comes from the center of your body. Your hip doesn't come out of the bottom of your pelvis. It comes out of the side. That's where your hip's connected. So you're going to have to think about the fact that that is on the side. Then you have your knee, and you have your calf, ankle, foot. Okay, so if you were looking at somebody from the side, you might see, if they weren't moving, if they were just standing straight up and down, you might see one leg a little bit in front of the other. And it's going to look more like this. Okay, so you have an angle. Remember when we learned how to draw a cube? And you had your angles, 3 angles that showed depth. This is where it was closer to me, and this is where it was further away. Well, when you're drawing a person facing the side, you think about those same angles. These are my hips and my knees and my ankles, my feet, my shoulders. They're all going to be at that same angle unless your person is twisting their torso. If they're reaching or if they're turning, say they were running to catch a football, and they turn their shoulders, but their legs keep running straight. But for a lot of your poses, you're going to have all of those things at roughly the same angle, just like when we drew a cube. Okay. If my arms were out, okay, I've got my elbow. I don't know what they're doing. They're looking at something. They're holding something up to look at. Then this arm is coming out from behind. It's going to appear a little shorter and higher up in my picture plane to show that depth. A lot of times it's going to overlap, so you're not going to be able to see all of that. I don't know, maybe they're looking at a yummy sandwich they're getting ready to eat. Okay. Does that make sense how you're going to have overlapping on your arms and on your leg when you're drawing a person from the profile? Good, good. Okay. So we're going to take that one step further now. And if you have a person that's sitting down in a chair, we're going to go ahead and we're going to draw that cube that the chair is. Most chairs tip back a little bit instead of being straight up and down. Okay. I know that so far I have always shown you that I start with the head and work down, but we know that the head and the hips are the same size. When I'm drawing somebody that's sitting down, I usually start with the hips because I want to make sure that they're like on the chair in the right place. Okay. If you draw your hips all the way out here, it's going to look like your person's like melting and sliding out of your chair. So you want to put their butt in their chair. Okay. We're going to establish our angle, right? So your shoulders are going to be at an angle. Your leg's going to come out. Shoulders, leg. My leg needs to come out a little bit further. Okay, so there's the butt. Knees. Now you have lots and lots of options with your legs. Some people sit with their legs tucked back underneath their chair. If your person is sitting that way, their foot's going to be up off the ground, or maybe their toe is on the ground and then their heel is up off the ground. Okay, and then this other leg, if it's straight next to, like if the legs are together, this knee, because the body is turned at this angle, is going to be out farther. So this knee is going to come out here. Same thing if their feet are on the rung of a chair or tucked back or something like that. So you want the feet and the ankles, if they're in line, they should be in line. If one leg is in a different position, say this leg is forward and this foot is sitting on the ground, then that's fine, but it's going to look different. Now they've got 3 legs. Oh, well. Okay. If there were a table here, okay, then your shoulder that's closest to you is here. Maybe the arm is out resting on the table. They're eating a cheeseburger. I'm hungry. Are you guys hungry? It's lunchtime. Okay. We were home too long. Okay, so this arm is out here. Here's our cheeseburger. Okay. This arm is going to come from behind the body, top and bottom, and it's going to come out and sit on the table, and then the forearm is going to come up this way. Again, at the same angle that all these other things are happening at, unless it's a different pose. If that arm is in a different pose, then it's not going to look like that. So you've got your neck. You want your neck to be in the center of the shoulders. Don't get your neck all the way out here on top of this shoulder. Make sure your neck is in the middle. And then he's kind of tipping his head forward to get that bite. This and this should be the same height, right? Okay, and your person's going to look like they're in proportion. So this is why it was so important back when we were practicing these 8 sections for you to begin to understand this and this are the same. This is a little bit shorter than this. This, all the same. That way, no matter what pose you're trying to do with your person, you know how it should be proportioned, even though, because 90% of the time, your person's not just standing in a straight line, okay? Especially if you're trying to tell a story with your pose. So if your person is walking, you have 2 things happening. You have a center of balance and you have a line of motion. Okay, center of balance is like when you walk, your weight is always somewhere. So if you're walking, this one is going to be up straight down and this one's going to be back. Okay, so it's kind of a stick person, but it works all the same way. I know that from my hips down and from my hips up is the same. One of the biggest things that you can do to help to tell this story of motion is your feet. Okay, if your feet, so now we see, like if he was pushing off on the back, then you might see that toe bent. But if his weight is here, you're not going to see that. Your hips usually stay over your center of balance, okay? Your line of motion is where you're moving. So if you're walking, okay, you've got your body in line here. Okay. If your left leg is in front, then your arms are doing opposite that, right? I know the size of the torso because I already have my leg established. So if this is my shoulder, if my left leg is forward, then my left arm is back. I know the size of my head, so I know the size of my arm. Yes, I realize I just measured the hips, but the hips and the head are the same. Okay, so, and this arm is going to be forward. Remember, the shoulder is back here, so this arm starts back here. Power walking. Got his arms pumping. Okay, then you get your neck in the center and your head. Okay, so now my person looks like they're in motion. Don't worry about the contour of the skin or musculature or weight distribution on your person yet. We are going to do those things in the next class on Monday. And we're going to add clothes on Monday. So don't get in a rip, roar, and hurry to add all those. What I really want you to do now is practice as many poses as you can think of. I want to show you one more thing. I just ran out of room on my paper, so I'm going to have to flip. Hopefully it doesn't show through too bad. Your center of balance. So if you are bending or doing anything, if you have your center of balance off, if your person looks like they're falling over or they're going to fall or in the process of falling, then that's probably center of balance is off. So when you squat, say like a catcher is getting ready, or you're kind of flexing your knees, getting ready to catch a ball or something, you're going to flex your knees, but your feet are usually underneath the center of balance, right? Okay. This leg back here is going to appear shorter because it's a little bit further away. And your body is usually tilted a little bit forward to help counterbalance what you've got going on with your motion, especially if the arms are out getting ready to grab something. So if you were in a wrestling pose getting ready to shoot on another wrestler, or if you were getting ready to catch a ball, or if you were passing a basketball, this is the type of pose, and you want to think about your center of balance. And where are you pushing off from? Where is your weight distributed at in the body at that time? Okay. Does anybody have any questions about that? I'm going to check the chat here a second and see if I can. It's going to let me from here. Yeah. Okay. On Monday, I was going to go over foreshortening, but I know that you're a more advanced. I've got some more advanced drawers. So foreshortening is a drawing technique where you have an object that's closer to you, so it looks much larger, and so you have to draw some parts smaller and some parts larger because of that. So if you had a person who was sitting in a chair and the chair was facing you, you would draw that chair like this because the seat is coming towards you, so it's getting bigger, right? So if your person was sitting in that chair, here's their hips. If their legs were coming out towards you, or if they were turned to the side, like it doesn't matter how, like you're still going to have, your knees are just going to look a little bit bigger. Okay. And the foot is going to be wider as it comes towards you as well. Now, if you had something specific like a hand, say their hand is outstretched towards you, you have to think about where it is. So if they had their arm outstretched at shoulder height and their hand open, like saying stop, you're going to have the hand's going to have a lot of detail and look big, and you're not even going to see much of that arm with it this way. Now, if this one was a little bit to the side, you might see the arm. So if this is the palm of the hand, you're going to see the arm is going to look very small and short like that because it's coming towards you. So this is narrower because it's further back. Kind of took over my chair. You can't even see my chair anymore, but that's okay. If the person was saying, stop, stop, don't come this way, they're going to, well, I started out with the person sitting and he ended up squatting, but so the idea of foreshortening is that the things that are closer to you look very large and the things that are farther away or that are covered by what is close to you appear short. If you're a person, I'll do a different sitting one. I got stuck on doing the idea of the hands because that's a good way to show foreshortening. But so if you're in a chair sitting, you've got your butt here. The person's coming out this way. It just depends on how they're sitting. You've got so many different things Like if this leg is back further, it's going to appear up higher. If this leg is like out and down, then you've got the foot. And you want them sitting in a chair. This is becoming more of a gesture drawing now. We're going to talk about gesture drawings on Monday, but you know, and I don't know what you want them doing with the torso. Like if the torso is just straight up and down, then there's not going to be any foreshortening really on that. But the leg and the foot is going to look bigger because see how much bigger this one is than this one. So if you look at your mannequin, I guess this part's going to be longer. This part's going to be shorter because this part's closer to you. You have to think too about your angles. This is the hips, knees, ankles don't apply because the legs are in different positions. Shoulders, if your shoulders were twisted, you can have them twisted. You know, maybe he's sitting and he's reaching over here. Then the shoulders might be at a different angle. I'm getting a little complex here. I didn't really want to go this far today. Then you've got to twist the whole body. Need my chair. Okay. Oh, gotcha. So there's a lot of different angles and different things that you can look at. You can also do more complex sitting stuff. Like if your person was sitting crisscross applesauce or with their hands around their knees, you can have a foot here, a foot here. Oh, there's a fly that just fell on the, hello, buddy. Go on, off you go. Okay. And then the thighs are going to be here. The butt's going to be back here. The torso is going to be coming up. If the arms are coming out and around, holding on to the legs. There's a lot of different stuff you can try. So you guys got your paper. And I'm going to stay on. And I like the way we did it yesterday where everybody just kind of held their papers up and showed me their progress. But for today, just try to do as many different poses as you can think of. If you need help, I will happily help. But if you keep in mind the angles that we talked about, you know, of your hips and your knees in relation to how you guys learned how to draw a cube, and you think about your center of gravity, like where the weight is, and then your line of motion, where they're going. I didn't do a running one. I did not do a running man. I'll do a running man quick. So you've got hips, torso's usually leaning. You're going to have an arm back, one arm forward. If my right arm is forward, then my left leg is going to be forward. And depending on how fast you're running and on how hard you're pushing off, your knee might be higher and the bend is going to be more. Just depends what you're doing. If you're pushing off of this back leg, so my weight is here. My motion is going this way. Okay. All right. I know this is a hard one to do without me there to ask questions and stuff. I'm going to stop the video here and then we'll